Good morning. Good morning. Glad to see all your faces here today. Know that Hurricane Irma came by and we all survived the storm, but we wanted to keep the creative movement going. We didn't feel like we would stop it as a result of it, and we're glad to see you out here today. We're excited to be here at this venue. This is, I think, our third time being at the PAMM, and we have a very exciting speaker today. But I wanted you guys to know that we're here for you. We wanted to keep this going. We always have this once a month, and it's completely free for all of you. I've seen a few familiar faces, but for those of you that have not been here, welcome. And I wanted to open it up to some of the staff members from PAMM. They wanted to give a little bit of word and then introduce our speaker.
My name is Grace Torres, and I'm the manager of school programs here at Pérez Art Museum Miami. This is also Maria Trujillo. She's the manager of gallery and studio programs here at PAMM. We wanted to take a moment to welcome you this morning and talk a little bit about Tanisha and about the wonderful space that we're sitting in today. So Tanisha Cidel, this is actually the second time we're welcoming Tanisha to PAMM to speak here at the museum. And the first time was for our Pride Night in February, where we hosted a free public screening of Moonlight, the award-winning film, here for the public. And she was a part of a Q&A panel after the film screening. Tanisha is the director for the award-winning Ailey Camp Miami here at the Arch Center, right across the street. And she is the director of the Magnet Theater program at Norland Middle School. And I'm going to pass it over to Maria so she can speak a little bit more about the space.
It's so great to see people showed up today. I hope you are all recovering from the hurricane well. We're really excited to have you here in this space, and we had planned it like this from the very beginning, but the fact that it's in this space after what's happened in the Keys and in the Caribbean and in Miami as well, it really just speaks more to home. So this piece is called For Those in Peril on the Sea from 2011 by Hugh Locke. And as you can see, it's a combination of different boats from different cultures, different influences, and the artist essentially really wanted to speak to the power of the sea, its beauty and also its peril. So this piece really just fits the theme of what we're talking about today, compassion. Finding compassion through whether it's immigration or it's through disaster, or also compassion in your bounty. So if you're a bountiful person and you have lots to offer, giving as well. So with that, we really hope that you enjoy this work of art. Also later on today, we're going to have a pop-up made workshop. It's a program we have every first Thursday. It's usually free and open to the public. But yesterday, we opened up to the public for free, and today we are as well, and we're going to be hosting the art workshop today as well. So that's from 11 to 2. You can create your own boat. So that's if you guys want to stick around for that. Afterwards, you're more than welcome to also explore the galleries on your own.
I'm so glad to be here. Thank you for the invitation. And I love to speak in creative spaces and to talk to creative people because I feel like I'm at home, All I know is singing, dancing, and acting. That's all I've ever known. And I'm so glad that now it's really, there's a light shining on it now. And I'm so glad for that. The arts and education is really coming to the forefront. And so I would like for you to just first, if you would come with me and close your eyes for a second. Let's close our eyes. And I want you to give yourself a really big hug. Really big hug. Go ahead, do it. Let me see it. I don't see everybody hugging themselves. Hug yourself, hug yourself, hug yourself. Because in order for you to have compassion for others, you must first have compassion for yourself. You must first love yourself, understand who you are and who you are in the world and what you can do for others. So good. Open your eyes. I'm glad. Don't be so hard on yourself. Allow yourself to make mistakes and to fall and get back up. It took me 41 years to be a part of an award-winning, Oscar award-winning movie. 41 years in doing what I do. And so you just allow yourself to go through that journey. I want to start a little bit about who I am and where I'm from. I'm from 305, the county of Dade. Yes, born and raised in the county of Dade. I, of course, live and work here now, but I was raised here in Miami in public schools. My parents could afford to send me to private schools. They saw that I had a little bit of talent, and so they made sure that I, was in programs to kind of cultivate that talent. And so I started off in Rainbow Park Elementary School, which is a magnet program to this day, in theater. Went there, matriculated to Norland Middle School, where now I am teaching there, and then on to New World School of the Arts. After New World, went on to college, worked at the African Heritage Cultural Arts Center, and then came back home to Norland Middle School, where I am today. And I just have to say, if my parents and other people that were in my life at the time didn't have the compassion to see who I was and what I wanted to do, I wouldn't be here. And if I wouldn't be here, then my students wouldn't have, what they have today. And so it's so important to remember to have compassion for someone. It's okay to have compassion when somebody's looking, right? Okay, I'm going to play the political game and I'm going to help you. I'm going to help you. But what about when someone's not looking? What about when you're not going to get a pat on the back? What about when there's no one to say, you did a great job? And that's what I think we need to understand, that it's not about who sees us when we do the things that we do. It's about who's affected, right? Who's affected and what the long-lasting effects on their life, how it really helps them and to go on. And so I want to talk a little bit about Alex and Jaden. Alex Hibbert was the lead in Moonlight. He played Little. How many of you have seen Moonlight? Good, thank you. So he played Little in the movie, and Jaden, my other student, played Kevin, his best friend. And so when they were in 5th grade, I'm shaking my head because when they came to me to audition, they auditioned to get into the program, and they were wild. They were just, I was like, oh my God, these kids are so wild. But, they had like a fire in their eye. You can kind of, there's something about these kids. And so I literally had 7 or 8 boys in that class. And now they're 8th graders now. But I had 7 or 8 boys in that class that were like magical. Energy bouncing off the walls, literally. And so when Alex came in to audition, I'll never forget it, I was blown away. I was blown away because he didn't have, the technique, or but he had this honesty about him that was amazing for someone who was 11 years old, probably 10 at the time. And so, as a magnet program, you have to look at their grades, and you have to look at their conduct, and you have to make sure that they're coming into the magnet program as 3.0 students and, all this stuff. And so I'm flipping through. I'm like, oh, I'm so excited about this kid. I'm flipping through. And I get to his grades. And I was like, oh no, what am I going to tell my principal? I have to have this kid. So I'm looking at his grades and his conduct, and I'm just like, what is going on? What is going on with this kid that is so ridiculously talented? I wanted to get to the bottom of it. So after the audition, I said, listen, son, I need you to go and get your mom. Let her know after the auditions, I would like to talk to her. So she comes back, and I say, listen, I don't think you understand who your son is. He is so ridiculously talented. He has such a captivating air about him. He kind of grabs you. And I mean, you see that in Moonlight when his eyes, it's just amazing. But what's going on with him at school? And she began to explain to me some things or whatever. And I said, listen, I got to have this kid. I've never done this, ever. I want you, and I said this in front of him. I said, listen, I want you to go back to your school. This was the last 9 weeks. And I want you to try really, really hard. And I want you to do everything you can because your hope is to get into the program because I can't take you into the program with these grades. I can't. So he said, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it, Miss Cidel. I said, okay. Please do it, right? So I kept in contact with his mom during the 9 weeks. I'm like, how's he doing? What's going on? Blah, blah, blah. I've never done that before. I saw something in this kid. So the end of the 9 weeks, the end of the school year happens, and she faxes over the grades. And when I tell you those grades were 180 degree, it was like it was a different child. It was a different child. It literally was A's and B's from C's, D's, and an F. Do you understand? And I said, well, wow, what's the difference here? And I realized he had hope. Someone saw something in him and told him, listen, you could be this. You could do anything in life. You're amazing. And he believed it. So having the compassion for someone who may on the outside seem like, they don't have it together and, nah, forget that kid. I don't think so. But just making sure that he understood that I saw him and I paid attention to it and I saw something that was good instead of everyone continuing to say, oh, you're bad. Oh, you get bad grades. You're this, you're that, you're that. He had hope. And so he actually started the school year a little later because we did the transfer and everything. So he started the school year, I believe, like a week later. And about in the middle of September, I get a call from Barry Jenkins. And I think Barry Jenkins and Andrew Hevia. Andrew Hevia's sister is actually here. Andrew Hevia is one of the producers from Moonlight. And they called me and they say, listen, Barry was in LA and he said, I have heard some wonderful things about your program and I'm doing this movie and it's going to be set in Miami and I would wonder, if you would let me audition your kids. And I was like, you're who? From where? He was like, I'm from LA, but I went to Northwestern. And I was like, oh, okay, you went to Northwestern? All right. Some familiarity, And so he says to me, I'm in LA now, but I'll be in Miami in a couple weeks. I would love to meet with you. And so at first when he said I'm doing a movie, you hear people say I'm doing a movie, and you're like, yeah. Sure, what kind of movie are you doing now, And he said, no, I really think this can be something big. And I was like, all right, we'll see. And so I asked my principal, I said, listen, I would like to go and meet with this producer and this director of this film. And then Barry said, you know what? And we have some really interesting backers. We have Brad Pitt. And I was like, whoa. You have who? Okay, now I'm really paying attention because now, and the reason I say that is because sometimes you have people that come to the school, they want to do movies, they want to do commercials. Oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this for your students. Yeah. I've been there 17 years. I've heard a lot, right? With no real things coming out of it. And so, of course, you get a little jaded, So anyway, I go and meet with Barry at the offices here, not too far from off Biscayne. And he's like, so I have this movie. I'm going to give you the entire script, and I want you to read it. And I'm like, okay, I'm sure it's fine. He's like, I want you to read it. Read it. And so he talked to me about some of the subject matter and how I thought he could really kind of get Miami involved, with the school system. And he was having some issues with the school system, getting the film made. He was already here, and he's like, I don't have locations. I don't have this. What am I going to do? Blah. So we talked about it, and he said, listen, I've heard these wonderful things about your students all the way in LA, and I would love to audition them all. So 22 boys went to audition. No. 22 boys went to Florida Memorial University on a Saturday while he was here and all his team, Andrew, everybody. And they auditioned all of them. And about 5 or 6 boys got callbacks. So Barry sent me an email, and he's like, oh, my gosh, these kids are so professional. They're so talented. Where did you get them from? What are you doing? He was like, he said he was looking in L.A., Atlanta. He was looking everywhere for these boys. And he was like, and I think they're here. So I said, great. So we rehearsed it. Of course, we rehearsed it in class. Okay, you have a callback for a big movie. We're going to rehearse. Let's go right here. So we go to rehearse the scenes, the sides that Barry sent over. And so I'm rehearsing all the boys. And when Alex Hibbert got up there, and I'm telling you, I almost cried. He was so committed to that part, to that role. And I mean, if you know Alex, he's the complete opposite as his character, the complete opposite, completely. So he's literally bouncing off the walls in class. He's like sitting up, okay, whoo, yeah. Alex, sit down, okay? Focus that energy. But when he is into a scene, he was so honest and so real. I said, I knew he was gonna get it. There was no doubt. And so he and Jaden also did his part, and I was like, I know he has to. There's nobody else better than them. And so they go over and they get it. And Barry calls back, and he's like, oh, I'm so excited. This is going to change their life. I'm like, really? You think this movie is going to be that big? He's like, yes. So again, we had the journey, and my principal, a wonderful, wonderful arts person, he allowed me to go on set with them one day. And that particular scene, there were probably about 10 or 11 boys that he had chosen for a particular scene from Norland for this particular, for a couple scenes. And so when I got there, I'm looking at the boys, and I'm like, oh, yes, they're learning everything that we did in class, they're doing. Oh, my gosh, this is like a dream come true. And then Andrew comes over to me at the end of the day, and he says, Miss Cidel, did you enjoy it? I'm like, of course. It's amazing. It's amazing to see them actually working in the professional business. It's great. He was like, well, why don't you, be in the movie as well? And I'm like, what do you mean? Sure, whatever you need, Andrew. I'll just, be an extra in the back. I'll do whatever you want. He's like, no, I'm going to give you some lines today, and I want you to learn them. And next week, we're going to film. You're going to play the principal in the movie. So imagine I'm screaming on the inside, and I'm like, sure. I could do that. Wonderful. So now I'm put on the spot because my students have done it, right? And I'm telling them, this is what you do, this is how you do it, but now I have to pull up and do it. I'm like, okay, this is real. So it was just a great experience. But I say that to say, if I didn't have compassion on those boys when they were in 5th grade bouncing off the walls, they wouldn't have had the opportunity to go to the Oscars, red carpets, London, SAG Awards, everything that happened to them this past year was because somebody saw them and paid attention and had compassion. And so that's what I tell you today. Even when it's not popular to do so, have compassion on someone. Have compassion enough to help someone when it may not be easy for you. And it wasn't easy with 7 boys in a class for 2 hours every single day, right? But they learned, and we learned to kind of focus that energy. And they're amazing artists, amazing. And if I didn't do that, if his mom didn't come if his mom didn't come to Norland to say, listen, I need him to audition, if I didn't accept him, all of these things had to come in play for his life to be what it is now. So if that didn't happen, then he wouldn't have a 7-year deal with Showtime right now. 7-year deal with Showtime for the TV series The Chi. That's coming out the fall. Make sure you watch it. He has about 14 more days of shooting right now. He's been there since May in Chicago. And if I didn't do that, then Jaden wouldn't have 3 filming projects that he's going to finish by the spring. You understand? So it's just about not necessarily making yourself comfortable, stepping outside of your box. Lend a helping hand, not when it's popular or easy to do so. We got to start helping each other out. And that's the, I mean, you could literally be the key to someone else's life change. And that's really what it is. He has a Calvin Klein deal. He has Showtime. It's crazy. This kid is like, you know, gone. But let's now have what I call a courageous conversation. I want you to close your eyes again, please. And I want you to think back to a time where you honestly didn't do all you could have for someone. It may have made you uncomfortable or taken too long or wasn't popular. So you resigned to do just enough or nothing at all. Now imagine if you had done all you could do to assist that person. How do you think it could have changed their life? If it was something small, how do you think it would have changed their day? How could you have plussed someone else's experience? You have to understand that the compassion is really the key to success. It really is. Everyone sitting here would not be here if it were not for someone else. Someone had to have compassion on you to open that door. You can open your eyes. If you just have that mental picture in your mind, it can change your mindset. I need to figure out how I can become more passionate in my everyday life, not just when it's popular. So I also think that compassion means all access, providing equity among resources and opportunity. So imagine if Alex and Jaden didn't have the opportunity to audition for Barry Jenkins. What would have happened? Nothing, right? So it literally can change someone's life if you resign within yourself and say, let me try to do something. How can I plus this person's experience again? I also happen to be the director of Ailey Camp Miami, which is right here at the Arts Center. Wonderful program. Probably one of the most interesting and life-changing programs I've ever been a part of. And I say that because Norland Middle School is located in a low to medium income area. But the Ailey Camp Miami is wide open for all students in Miami-Dade County. And so I get to see a range of students, from those whose parents who are wealthy and just may not have the social connection with people that they need, to those students who cannot afford anything. And so with that, it really opened my eyes to a lot of things. Excuse me. A lot of things that we don't see every day, a lot of things that we just kind of pass by. I had a student, a camper, a couple of years ago who was in the Haiti earthquake, and it had disfigured him. He was under rubble for 4 days. His brother was killed, and he was right next to his brother. And so a wonderful doctor from University of Miami has kind of really had a lot of compassion for him and brought him over to the States to do some reconstructive surgery. Wonderful man from University of Miami, a doctor. And that really stood out to me because he didn't have to do that. He didn't have to. He could have gone over there and made himself feel good. Oh, I'm helping the people in Haiti from the earthquake. But he didn't have to take someone, uproot them from what they knew, bring them over here, find him and his mother a place to stay, and just really, really have compassion. And it moved them, and it changed his life. So he was able to ultimately get into the program, Ailey Camp Miami, ultimately go to New World School of the Arts and dance. And imagine if he did not make the decision that I am going to do something for this kid, where would he be? I don't know. Another student, another camper, would come to school or come to camp every day, and the kids would pick on her. And she didn't understand. And she was like, they're picking on me, and they're calling, they say that I stink, and they're calling me names. And so when I really sat down to talk with her, I realized that for the 2 weeks that we were in camp, she didn't have lights. The lights were off at her house. So she couldn't wash clothes. She couldn't take a hot bath. And she didn't tell anybody. So you never know. We were able to step in, and I'm getting emotional because we were able to step in and do something. Because, we found out that this is a need. But what if we didn't know? Take the time to find someone and really see inside of them and ask them how they're doing. Not, how you doing? Oh, good, great. No. What's going on with you? If you see someone who is not quite, what they need to be, there's a reason why. There's a reason why. She was embarrassed. She was embarrassed and didn't know what to do. I have one more story. There was another camper this year. His mother did some things, and she was arrested. And so as she was arrested, of course, he was left without a home, him and 6 siblings. So there were 7 of them in a home in Liberty City. And so, people around him helped him, and he went to, I guess, a little 8th grade or 7th grade prom or something like that. On the day of the prom, he found out that his mother, who was out on bond, killed someone. She killed her baby's father. So now he's left with nothing. Where is he supposed to go? What is he supposed to do? See, we don't know these stories because we kind of go by with our days every day, But this is important. Compassion, your compassion that you can have for one person can change somebody's life. And that's my message today. And because of that, because we see a need in the community, my husband and I started a company, Evolutionary Arts and Entertainment. And it's basically a training ground for performing artists, young and young at heart. And they can't pay, but guess what? Okay, you can't pay, come on, fine. That's just how we had to have it. We had a musicians camp this summer while I ran Ailey Camp. My husband ran a musicians camp in the north. And it's just important to me to see and level the playing field. Because no, everybody is not going to be in an award-winning, Oscar-winning movie, but it's not necessarily about that. That's the end product. That's something that can happen. What it's really about is maybe because you're cultivating that talent, they'll get the scholarship to any college. Level the playing field. Their parents can't afford private lessons. So what do? Turn them away? I can't do that. So I say, come on, I will figure out the funding later. I still have to figure out the funding. But it's something that is needed. We have to see what's in someone, and the talent that's in someone, and cultivate it and push them towards their destiny and encourage them. Make sure that they believe that they can do what it is that they can do. If you believe it, they'll believe it. That's all it takes, confidence. And that's what the arts and education does for kids. It provides confidence. So they may not be actors or singers or dancers, but they're going to be this wonderful doctor with this wonderful bedside manner because they're going to know how to talk to people, right? And so I have students everywhere, students who have done wonderful things. I have a student who's in Hamilton now. I have a student who was on So You Think You Can Dance, and now he's in the new Broadway show with Tina Fey that's coming out in the spring. Of course, we have Alex and Jaden. There's so many wonderful stories that come from someone taking notice And that's, my message to you today. So just have enough compassion to encourage someone. If you think of one thing that you can do, and before we leave today, if you don't mind, if you would just introduce yourself to one person. You never know. I'm not saying you have to be best friends, but you never know what that could do. You never know how you could help them or how they could help you if you don't introduce yourself, right? So I really want to implore you to just be a better human being. We say we're all great. Yes, we are, but we all have things that we could do better. And especially in Miami, I think we need to show more compassion for each other. We absolutely need to show compassion. They'll have hope. Alex had hope. They'll have hope. And hope is the key to success. So thank you so much. If you have any questions or anything about what I've talked about or anything at all, I will take questions at this time. Anybody? Or statements? Questions? No questions? Okay, yes. Evolutionary Arts and Entertainment, yes. So we're starting we did it for the summer, and then for the fall, we'll have a musical theater program on Saturdays, and then do a show in December or January. So that's just, what we're going to do. So if anyone is interested, and I have cards for you. Yes. Okay, so we take them as young as 7 and as old as 17. Okay, and then the young at heart, I do private coaching for them as well, acting, singing. So, yes. Any other questions? No questions? Not at all, yes. Ooh. Ailey Camp, this will be my 5th year as director, but before that, I was a personal development instructor. And what that means is someone that sees children and makes them believe that they're confident. Makes them believe and have more self-esteem. And so I did that through theater games and singing. And Ailey Camp is a wonderful program. It really is. I've seen it. So I think I've been with Ailey Camp. It will be my 8th year this year coming up. Yeah, wonderful program. So if you have anybody that would like to be in a free program, it is free. Right here at the Art Center, we pick them up and drop them off, provide them with breakfast and lunch. We provide them with all of their uniforms, their leotards, their tights, their unitards, their ballet shoes, everything. It is a wonderful program, and those applications will be on the Agent Art Center's website in January. Okay? Yes. Mm-hmm. That's a very good question. I don't think there was just one defining moment. I think seeing how other people live and understanding the other side of that. Because as a teacher, you're not just a teacher, Your mom, your dad, your counselor, your preacher, you become everything to those kids. And they will do anything for you when they know that you love them. And so that's what I've seen just time and time again. My compassion has really grown. It really has. Once I had children myself as well, but also knowing the stories. You cannot not know the stories and not do anything. You can't. It's impossible. So knowing the stories and understanding that, along the way has really helped and just me being a champion for arts and education and for compassion. Mm-hmm. Thank you. Yes. Yes, I did. I left to go to FAMU. I went to FAMU on the Camille Cosby Scholarship that I received from FAMU. And then I also went to FIU. So what inspired me to come back? I would say, you kind of fall into it, Honestly, if I was honest with myself, I fell into it. I was singing around town and acting around town, and I fell into it. And I realized that it made me feel good. Something on the inside leapt when I saw someone get it, and I saw the performance, and I felt it was like money for me. Honestly, when you see what you've taught someone and they turn it around and apply it to what they're doing, and it transcends to audiences and audiences feel, that was money for me. So that's what it was. You know, I fell into it, and I did it, and I still do it. And I'll always do it. Even if I get on a TV show, if anyone has a TV show, let me know. No. But I told Terrell McCraney, I said, I will always do this. I would have to have some sort of program where I can affect change. I can teach someone something. Yeah. So, yeah. Anybody else? No? Well, thank you so much for coming. I hope you learned something. I hope you try to apply anything that I've said to you in your own lives. And please reach out to me. I'm on Twitter, tcidel05, Facebook, Instagram, and I have cards to share. But please come up, and I would love to meet you. So thank you very much.